I don't know what's going on in Seattle, but they don't seem to be able to get their act together. I come home after a weekend out at a conference. I come home and one of the first things I see on my feed is somebody has solved a missing crime in Seattle 29 years later. 29 years later. Young boy. Watch, I'll tell you the story. And then let's look at some of the Seattle psychics that probably should have taken care of this. Did they? No, no. 29 years? This family is grieving for 29 years and they can't find the psychic. I mean, they can't find the kid. They can't figure out the crime. They can't do nothing. Come on now. Let's check this out.
Turned cold. Now, sadly, the results are too late for real justice. In 1996, Susan Klungness was killed in her home, and that's when 14-year-old Jeffrey, her son, disappeared. Fox 13's AJ Janavelle is outside of the Pierce County Courthouse with how investigators unraveled a mystery that stumped detectives for decades.
Investigators tell me Martin Malcolm was always suspected in this incident. He was a local handyman, a friend of the family, and somebody with a dark past. Unfortunately, the technology was not there at the time to close this case.
In 2017,
technology wasn't there to close this case. Why not? Don't we have a psychic ability that is able to communicate with the dead 29 years ago? And since then, there's an awful lot of psychics in the Seattle area. The police didn't call them, but you would think that it would have been all over the news and maybe they would have noticed. Even if they just started in the last 5 years, they should have noticed and maybe, made a name for themselves by solving this crime. They know who committed it because it's the same guy that was a handyman on the property, some guy they met at church, somebody who had a dark past. And they couldn't prove it because they couldn't find the kid's body. So they wouldn't go forward with it. So the guy's out there shopping and going about his day, even though the police know he's responsible. They still couldn't do anything about it. No, not a thing. So let's see what happens.
17 mushroom pickers in East Pierce County made a morbid discovery, finding a human skull covered in moss, missing its bottom jaw.
But there wasn't a doubt for any of us who had ever worked on the case or familiar with the case that it was Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Klungness, missing at this point for 2 decades. He vanished on the same day his mom, Susan Klungness, was found murdered in their home.
Very early on, they identified Malcolm Martin as the individual who likely responsible for the death.
Martin Malcolm, a handyman, who the Klungness family met through their church, a man already with a deadly record. Malcolm served more than a decade behind bars for murdering his wife, the mother of his child, as well as stabbing several of her friends. He got out of prison in 1992 and soon befriended the Klungness family. Retired Pierce County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Linnell Anderson worked Jeffrey Klungness's case. She tells me the evidence pointed to Malcolm as the killer, but without Jeffrey's body, there was too much doubt for an arrest.
Mr. Klungness knew this person had likely done this, and he had still lived in the same area as him. He could be going to the store and run into the person who likely killed his wife and child.
3.5 years after the discovery of the skull, science confirmed the remains were Jeffrey's. But these answers came.
So let's put aside that a man has murdered his wife and stabbed a bunch of her friends. And because they meet him at church and he's already served a 10-year sentence, only 10 years. They let him into their life and then he ends up murdering them again. So that's pretty awful. But, there are people who commit crimes. They get out and they lead wonderful lives and they're probably wonderful people. So let's just set that aside. And let's just concentrate on that this man murdered this woman and her son, her 13 or 14-year-old son, disappears and they cannot pin the crime on this man because They can't find the son's body. So the handyman columnist, or whatever his name is wandering around town for 20 something years. Nobody can do anything about it because they don't know where the boy is. And so they can't prove anything. I guess enough. They can't feel like they proved enough because of DNA or whatever the reason is. No psychic's going to help him out. I mean, come on, really? Really? Why do we believe in these things? Well, I don't, but why do people continue believing in these things, these psychic mediums, when they could have just contacted the kid or his mom and said, the mom who's murdered, of course, and say, who killed you? Where is the evidence that we could find to convict him? Where is your son, who was dead at the time? Where is he? Where's his body? Can you give us some kind of evidence that we can use to take this guy out of circulation? Did they ask? And no, I doubt they even asked, because if it worked, we would know, right? This case would have been solved a long time ago. And I know you guys think I'm being just silly about this because I'm always hearing, well, that's not how it works. And I'm asking, and I think we need to hold these people accountable, the psychic mediums. You're communicating with dead people and you want to help people. So why aren't you doing both? Why do we have to wait 3.5 years after the body is found to be able to get the technology to be able to do the forensic genealogy and pull the DNA off so that we can solve this crime? Why do we have to wait for modern science? It shouldn't be difficult to say, if they're really communicating with dead people, to say, who killed you? What were the circumstances? Where is your son? Lead us to his body. Or contact the son and say, where is your body and what was the circumstances? Who killed you? Simple, right? Yet we're not holding these people accountable for it. I'm not getting it. I just don't get it at all. Let's look at some of the psychics who are in the area. Some of the psychics who should have known this, because they claim to be psychic mediums. Okay, here's this guy. Let me show him. First up, David Zara. David Zara. Okay, he's not that old, but you would think he's been around long enough to be able to, in the last few years, have gone and done this. Okay, he's a psychic medium, intuitive life coach, a renowned OMG, he's renowned author. He's an intuitive based in the Seattle, Tacoma area with clients all around the world. Yeah. What's the problem, dude? Background in psychology, passion for spirituality, a perfect marriage of science and spirit. He's been featured on national TV and a syndicated radio presence with the reach of 10 million listeners. Connect with the best psychic medium. So there it is right there. He says he's a psychic medium. Psychic medium. Can't solve diddly squat. Either that, either he can't solve it, or as my dear friend Jay Diamond tells me, the psychic mediums are the biggest assholes in the world because they won't really help anybody. Who else? Who else is in the Seattle area who should have known better? Let's see. Here's another one. Okay, this is a Christopher's lamp. And this is Christopher Lamp person. Let's see. A bunch of videos. Is she just doing magic tricks or palm reading? What is she doing? Astrology only? Ah, About me, I am a clairvoyant. I see visions, pictures, places, and people. I'm a clairaudient, which means she hears. I often hear names of those associated around you, but not in my control. I am a medium. It says it right there. I am a medium. Sometimes those who have passed show up, again, not in my control, based in the historic Pike Place Market in Seattle, Washington. Not in my control. So is that an out for I can't really do this and there's no way I can prove it? 29 years? The website was developed in 2012. So this person's been around at least since 2012. And since they found the body about 3 years ago, I believe they said. Here's Christopher Lamps, whatever her name is, Facebook page. So it says, navigate your soul with astrology, palmistry, and tarot. Well, must be really awesome if she's got 485 followers. Good Lord, that must be amazing. Here it is, psychic medium. She is a psychic medium, she says, located in Seattle, Washington. And she is still posting. So she's posted 8 hours ago. So she's still around. I hope anybody watching this, make sure you go and contact these people and say, what's the deal? Saw another one. Where is it? Oh, here it is. You'll like this. This is hilarious. There's a Seattle Psychics Association. Look at their logo. Isn't it great? Some hand with this little like third eye on it or whatever. Boy, they're doing big work over there. 2,000 followers and almost 2,000 likes. Okay, certified ethical, spiritual professionals, tarot, oracle, mediums. Right there. There's the word. They speak to the dead. They communicate with the dead, they say. Astrologer, energy workers, spiritual coaches, find your professional spiritual advisor or join the association. 92% recommended with 9 reviews. They see people. Oh my gosh. Witch's Day Out. Look at Zeus. Oh, geez. Say AI. There's a owl that's yawning or something. Check these people out. Give me a break. So, what's going on? What is going on? Why are we allowing this business to continue when they're obviously not able to do what they say they can do? Or, as Jay Diamond tells me, they're assholes that refuse to actually help other people other than, just the basic stuff. Why? Their entire career would be made if they could actually prove that they can communicate with the dead and like solve some of these cases. Why are they still in business? Why do these mediums still get attention by the media? Why are people still going to them? Why are we not asking this question? What cases have you solved? Who have you led the police to their dead bodies? How many cold cases have you solved? Until we get some answers, then I don't think they should be in business. If you can communicate with the dead, then these people shouldn't be missing for 20, unidentified, and the crime is over 29 years old. And this is just one. There's thousands of these cases. Not a one. Not a single case has been solved. So instead of asking the question that we often ask is, that how do we, these people, how do we know they're real or not, and all that kind of stuff. Ask what is missing. And what is missing, besides any evidence that they can work and do what they claim to do, but what's missing is they haven't solved any crimes. They're not actually talking to dead people. They will talk to somebody's grandma or something and tell them that they have a garden with a hat and there's somebody with an M name, but not one. What is wrong? So if you're watching this video and you want to go contact these people and say, hey, what's up with that? They might say, oh, I didn't know about it, which is kind of lame because I'm sure it was all over the media, especially when the kid was finally found and they just took a long time to get the money and the technology to be able to identify him. He's missing in the woods. His jaw has fallen off. His father is going all over trying to find his son for years. According to that the news account, and I'll put it in the link in the description under here, the father for years is going to bus stations and looking for his son. 29 years? I thought psychic mediums wanted to help people. Why wouldn't you help that father? The rest of the family. And then, you know what else? Is that man's on the loose. He's still wandering around. He's killed his wife, stabbed all her friends, a bunch of her friends, and now he's done it again. At least one person is dead. The 14-year-old kid is missing, so he's probably presumed dead. And he could be out there doing it again, more and more. Why isn't the psychic helping put this guy behind bars? What kind of people do that? Anyway, please help get the word out. Let these psychic mediums know that, I've called them on it. Because, of course, they're not going to know because they're not psychic mediums. They don't know anything that I'm doing over here. So ask. Let's get an answer. They'll probably say, oh, well, I might have tried, but nobody would listen to me. They might not have listened to you if you just told them that. But if you took them to the body, I think they might have listened. Yeah, I think that would be a pretty good listen. And then, of course, if you've done one, you should be able to do more than one. And let's just get them all taken care of, right? Chip Coffee would say, I don't solve crimes because if I do, then my family and myself people will harm me and they'll come after me because I've solved crimes and criminals will come and target me and my family. They're like, right, Chip. If you can solve crimes and you can do what you claim to be able to do and you're solving all these cold cases, I think you will be highly protected and you will be able to live a life of amazing luxury. They'll put you on your own island and they will bring in fresh strawberries and oysters and whatever you want. And you can be there and they will just keep coming to you and showing you more and more cold cases for you to find and fix and solve. You will live a life of amazing luxury and win the Nobel Prize and, all these other things. But now, take care all.